Hey everyone, I hope you are doing great today. Today we're going to be talking about the three different kingdoms of ancient Egypt. All right, and we're going to be using a graphic organizer to actually go through them and make sure that we all know what we're talking about when it comes to those three kingdoms. All right, so on this, you actually have a actual graphic organizer for this whole entire thing that we're going to be talking about. It's going to look something like this, and you may sit there, you may be like, Mr. Reese, I can't really see that. Is there any way I can zoom in? Well, actually, you can't. So when you zoom in, you can actually go to this little magnifying glass and press a little down menu, and you can go down to 100, and it'll take you to this, and you can see it a lot better. You can click a lot better, and it's just better overall. All right. So that being said, let's get started on this. All right. So before we get to the Old Kingdom and the Middle Kingdom, the New Kingdom, we're actually going to be talking about two different types of kingdoms that happened before that. All right. Called Upper and Lower Egypt. All right. So roughly around 5000 BCE, people began to settle along the Nile River. And when they settled there, they ended up making two main groups. All right. The first being the Lower Egypt, or the northern half of Egypt. This is by the Nile River Delta, as you guys know from your geography of ancient Egypt. And the thing is, they had a symbol that was a red crown. That's going to come in later on during this. But they were very mild and calm people that were extremely good with political stuff and economic stuff. And they're just very intelligent, mild, calm people. Now, this was Lower Egypt. Upper Egypt, or the southern part of these whole entire idea of kingdoms in ancient Egypt, is actually closer to the source of the Nile River, and they were on the higher grounds, and they were the exact opposite of the people of Lower Egypt. They had a white crown instead of a red crown, and then on top of that, they were very rugged and stern people that lived off the lands. They were the ones that fought all the barbarians, and so on and so forth. So they were just very completely opposite people, and throughout time, they didn't really get along until we have King Menes that unites both of them. All right. And so King Menes, under his name and under his pharaohship, he ends up uniting these two kingdoms roughly around 3100 BCE. BCE, by the way, stands for before the Common Era. It's kind of like the BC that you may know about from middle school or even elementary school. So King Menes was actually considered the first pharaoh of this new united Egypt, and he ended up making a new capital city of Memphis. We're not talking about like Memphis, Tennessee, but Memphis in Egypt. All right, you can actually go to Memphis today, I believe. On top of that, they put Memphis right in the smack dab middle between the Upper Egyptians and the Lower Egyptians. So it was just equally fair to both groups that they were trying to travel to the capital. This can be also compared to a state today, which is Indiana. So Indiana is actually located their capital in the middle of the whole entire state because they wanted to make it an equal distance for every single group of people going from all the different sides of the state. All right. And then on top of that, he ended up making a new symbol for Egypt. And that's when he took the red crown and the white crown of both the Upper and Lower Egyptians. And it's actually seen right here. And this is just symbolizing that the Egyptians are finally unified. All right. So this takes us to the next thing, which is the Old Kingdom. All right. So before I get there, let's talk about the three kingdoms overall. All right, so roughly around 3,000 years, 3,000 BCE, we get the three different kingdoms. All right, we get the Old Kingdom, we get the Middle Kingdom, and we get the New Kingdom. They're great names, I know, right? So when it comes to these three kingdoms, this is where your graphic organizer comes into place. So make sure that is up and that you guys can see it, but I'm going to click to it now. All right, so we have this, and there's just a bunch of different things that are associated with it. So the first thing that we're going to do is that we're going to talk about the Old Kingdom first. All right, so the years in which it was actually established and running. All right, so on here it says it's from 2700 to 2200 BCE. So if you double click in there, you can actually start typing in it. So I'm going to put 2700 to 2200 BCE. That's all you need to put from there. You can click outside of it, and there you go. All right. And then we're going to do that for both the Middle Kingdom and the New Kingdom. So Middle Kingdom's from 2000 to 1800 BC, and the New Kingdom 1600 to 1100 BC. So I'm going to do that now. Go down to the Middle Kingdom, and I already forgot what this was, 2000 to 1800 BC. So I'm going to put 2000 to 1800 BCE. And then finally, if it allows me, come on. We are going to go to 1600 to 1100 BCE. All right. So we already have the time periods taken care of, but let's talk a little bit more into the characteristics and achievements of those kingdoms. All right, so we're going to go back here. I want to tell you the main things that are really important to know about these three kingdoms for each of them, and I'll go through it with you with the graphic organizer as well. All right. So the Old Kingdom is also known as the Pyramid Age. So when you think of Egypt, you always think of the pyramids and the Sphinx and all those different things. All right. So we're going to go back to the characteristics, and whenever you see this like quotation marks, I want you to put that here. Okay. Come on. Let's go. All right. So we're going to put the Pyramid Age. All right, we're then going to press enter on that because there's a couple of other pieces of information that are pertinent. All right. So the big thing with the Pyramid Age is that one, they built pyramids, and two, pharaohs had absolute power. And we're actually going to put that on our characteristics and achievements. All right. So pharaohs had absolute power. And yes, what does that mean? Absolute power. It means whatever they say wins. All right. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. It was the Pharaoh's word, or you were going to die if you decided to go against that word. All right. And that's one of the most important things for when it comes to the characteristics of this old kingdom, is that the pharaohs had absolute power. All right. Another thing is that centralized governments were a thing. What centralized government means is that there's just one area where governmental things actually occurred. Also, as we already know, Upper and Lower Egypt were unified, and they ended up building the first stone pyramids. All right. Obviously, they had help from the aliens, but that's a whole nother conspiracy theory that we don't have time to talk about today. All right. They also built the pyramids of Giza. You guys may know these. They're the most famous of all the pyramids. They're actually located on the right side of the slide, but they are extremely, extremely important for when it comes to this era, because it shows that the Egyptians were very good with astronomy. They were very good with technology of the time period, and they were good with architecture. All right, so moving on past this, we get the Middle Kingdom, or the period of reunification. All right, so if we go to this, we go back to our graphic organizer, we can click here and double click and put the period of reunification. Center. And then we will move on to this. Now, the thing is with the Middle Kingdom had about 200 years of chaos that happened before it, and then they were able to be unified. It was a time period of wise and gifted pharaohs that learned a lot from the old time periods that happened, and they started to realize that they didn't have absolute power, that they needed, advisors to help them with their decision making. All right. The one big thing that they did is that they built very strong armies and defended Egypt very well against foreign invaders. All right. So these two different things were very important to this time period. Now, the one thing that I want you to write down for this time period is that they had great achievements in literature, They had great achievements in art and architecture. All right, so I want you guys to spend a little bit of time putting that down in this. So they had great achievements in literature, arts, and architecture. I can spell achievements, right? There you go. So that's for the Middle Kingdom. All right, moving on to the greatest time period of this time, and that is the New Kingdom, or what we will call the Golden Age of the Egyptian Empire. All right, so again, we see quotes. So we're going to go down to here, and we are going to put the Golden Age of the Egyptian Empire. All right, press enter, and then we'll go from there. All right, so the golden age of the Egyptian empire, basically the thing is that pharaohs had all the power in the world, but something has changed. They started realizing that things needed to change among the social aspect, and that is that women achieving higher statuses and rights in this time period. All right, so before this time period, there was a lot of submission of females. And what I mean by that is that the females of ancient Egypt were known for a couple of things. They were known for, child rearing, which is basically birthing and taking care of children. And they're to stay at home the whole time. This obviously changes during this time period and becomes a very, very big aspect of it. So, women achieved very high statuses and rights during this time period. And that's what we're going to put here is that women achieved higher statuses and rights. All right, so hopefully you have that, and we will move on a little bit past this. One big thing that I want you guys to understand is that we actually get the first queen of this time period, of any time period for that matter, in ancient Egypt, and her name is Queen Hatshepsut, and she was the first female pharaoh. She did a lot of great things for the empire because they expanded a little bit more outside of Egypt. And she was just a very good person for the Egyptian people. All right. They expanded territory, as I already said, and they also grew into a humongous empire and dominated a lot of the areas around them. All right, so much so that they actually butted up against the Mesopotamian and Sumerian areas. All right, so that's that for this. Now, that doesn't mean you're done with the graphic organizer. Now, the thing is with the graphic organizer, there are a total of 2 more things that you have to do for each of the time periods. First, you're going to have to find the important pharaohs of the time period. And when it comes to these important pharaohs, I just want you to put 1 to 2 of these pharaohs that are extremely important. So, as you guys know, the important pharaoh of the New Kingdom would be Queen Hatshepsut. All right, so that's one that you can put there. All right, so you're going to have to do that for the Old Kingdom, New Kingdom, and the Middle Kingdom. The second thing that I want you guys to do is that I want you guys to sit there and find an image that very much encompasses the description of the Old Kingdom. Of the Old Kingdom, the Middle Kingdom, and the New Kingdom. So obviously, as we know, the Old Kingdom is known as the Pyramid Age. So it'd probably be pretty awesome to put, the pyramids of Giza. All right, let me actually spell this correctly. You're going to go to images. All right. Now from here, you can find an image that you like. I like this one, so I'm actually going to click and hold, and I'm going to start dragging it towards my graphic organizer, and I'm just going to drop it in here. And then from there, you can resize it and make it a lot easier for it to fit in there. All right. So you're going to do that for the Middle Kingdom and the New Kingdom as well. All right. If you have any questions, please email your teacher and they'll be happy to assist you. Have a great day.